This is for Bill Evanina. This is how much I respect this guy. So, first of all, great job, Harm. His staff, they outdo themselves every time. I don't know what this is going to look like before I show up, just like you guys. So, pretty amazing. So, since we're ICIT, we usually do things different. So I wanted to start with a character construct as opposed to just doing the award and breaking down the bio and where we're coming from. So I was able to look into Bill's background and investigate him a little bit, but in a nice way. I know my IP address is like on your computer somewhere, but so I wanted to talk about what makes a leader at this time, especially in this space, and especially with the espionage culture the way it is. So I'm going to do some reading. And so when we think of espionage, our minds typically go back to the Cold War era. You know, the black and white pictures, the cloak and dagger. But the fact is, many of the espionage crossroads of the Cold War have been replaced by the cyber backstreets and networks of Silicon Valley, malicious insiders, dragnet surveillance propagandists, and nation-state hacker teams. And in this space, at this time, with the insider threat epidemic the way it is, with the espionage culture the way it is today, we have to ask ourselves, what makes a potent leader in the counterintelligence and espionage space? What prepares one to be the protectorate and the enforcer of the secrets for the last remaining superpower? We exist at a time where chaos is the norm and leaders are few, but out of this chaos comes the opportunity for commandos of a new persuasion to rush forward and jam the vital machinery of the dominator metaphor, and to strike and stalk the aggressor, and to shut down the vectors that adversaries use to exploit. We need leaders who can cut through the noise and the distractions, and who won't be swayed by popular opinion. Popular opinion is typically shaped by adversaries' legions of weaponized memes that introduces the matrix and the continuous narrative illusion, which is why we started CCIOS. The key to long-term success in a leadership position like this is to continuously be alert to the opportunity of the ultimate and unlimited potentiality of the situation, both good and bad, and to maintain an androgynous mindset to function with fluidity in the worlds of espionage and counter-espionage simultaneously. A prerequisite characteristics for the individual who was born to lead in high-stakes situations are they should be a good communicator, demonstrate consistency when submerged in inconsistent environments, humility, compassion, and to be of substance rooted in deep conviction and organic confidence. And the objective at these times, when the trial and tribulation waves come crashing down and everyone freezes and waits for impact, the true leader takes those opportunities to calculate strategy and maneuver between the obstacles in order to beat down a path for those in the wake of the storm to follow. This leadership archetype that I'm expressing right now is the embryonic composition of what ICIT and CCIOS is all about. This is what I feel Bill represents, and this is what the Pinnacle Award is all about. So, to take a risk, to be leading from the front lines and the trenches, I feel is the purest, most sacred form of leadership because it's selfless. And we don't have enough of that. So I'm proud and honored to give this award to Bill Evanina, the 5th National Counterintelligence Executive of the United States government.
Good evening. Wow. Thank you for that very humbling introduction. I'm not sure how I could follow that, but Parm, you got to deal something with that. He's doing a lot of reading recently, obviously. I'm a little bit awestruck by that, and I'm not quite sure I meet the threshold of what was just presented to me, but on behalf of the men and women of the National Counterintelligence Security Center, which sits under the auspices of the DNI, I thank the Institute and the folks here and the decision makers to represent and award me and my individuals and the men and women who work for me this award. It's very humbling, and it's a great honor for me to accept this award on behalf of the folks in the intelligence community who work day and night to protect our nation's security. I'm very lucky to be a leader of a group of men and women who have a unique capability, responsibility, and I will also say opportunity to be not only involved in national security within the intelligence community, but also the entire federal government and the private sector. That challenge and responsibility we have to drive threat awareness, warning, and collaboration across the government and the private sector is a significant challenge. But it's also an amazing opportunity. We have never been, I believe, in our nation's history at a crossroads where such an existential threat we face from nation-state threat actors is what we have today. It manifests itself in everything that we see every day. As you heard Rob talk about the influence campaigns, what we face from our nation-state threat actors and how they are influencing our daily lives in every way we live those lives, to a point where we don't even see it when it's in front of us. We have to remember that it is all part of a strategic plan of another country trying to influence the way we operate and the things that we hold dear: our democracy, our Constitution, and capitalism. 3 things that are evil for our adversaries. Everything we look for and protect falls in those 3 pillars. When it comes to what the Institute now drives that collaboration, it is never more critical than it is now for the government to have what I call true private-public partnership. So what does that mean? And I will proffer to you that we as the federal government probably have not been the most efficient and effective processes in driving collection and information to the folks that need it. Those individuals in the private sector who make everything the government buys, not only from missiles and delivery systems, but to widgets, but on the critical infrastructure side, our critical infrastructure with respect to our financial sector, our telecommunications sector, our energy sector are at risk every single day. The government doesn't own any of that. However, the government's part of the process to drive solutions to protect it. We have seen globally some of our adversaries' capabilities in those areas to cause significant harm. So when I go to bed every night, I ask myself, what have we done in my organization? What have I done to drive awareness of that particular threat into the private sector so we could build bonds together to drive effective solutions to prevent what I consider a significant potential event and or attack. So on the hypothetical side, if tomorrow we wake up and there's a blackout somewhere in the US, there will be a rush to identify, was it really a squirrel in a transformer, or was it a nation-state threat actor, or somewhere in between? The government will work very closely with all those involved to identify and hopefully look towards attribution. Who was it and why was it there? But before we get there, the jump will already be made to who it potentially could have been. But at the end of the day, we still have millions of people without power. We have people without energy gas, electricity, or a telecommunication system is down. That is the power of our adversaries. The government is only part of the solution to protect that vector. The solutions, I believe, are with all of you and the folks who you represent, not only in the cyber world, who help drive the requisite algorithms and protective nodes and drive that cohesive collaboration, but the end users, the folks who drive those sectors and build those processes every day so that we as Americans could live under that democracy, the Constitution, and capitalism, and not allow our foreign adversaries to take advantage of that in the future. So the ICIT Institute has to continue to drive those collaborative efforts to ensure that as we drive policy and strategy in the U.S. government to help protect our national security with respect to critical infrastructure, the private sector and the folks who build and drive those solutions have to be a part of where we get up and end at the end of the day with a common solution to protect where we're going. Because when that blackout does happen, or your phone doesn't work, or you can't call grandma, or your refrigerator doesn't work, or the Internet of Things, Alexa from Amazon doesn't work, or whatever that issue is, there's going to be blame to be had. And the government cannot always be the individual or the group of folks who the blame is put on. But the solutions are everywhere in this room. So as we think about what this institute can do and what we could do in terms of the government-private partnership, private sector partnership, the solutions are driven through technology and the brain trust that drive the ingenuity and creativity and the technological edge all over America. The government has to do a better job of advancing those, understanding those, and incorporating to how we operate in the government and protect our people, our data, and our resources effectively. If we don't do that collectively as a whole of government process, and I will also proffer as a whole of country process, we are not going to win the battle that we have in front of us today. But I'm confident with the groups and individuals in this room and the folks that we continue to partner with in the government and the private sector, we will solve this problem, and that we can ensure that for our children or grandchildren, 20 years from now, we will still be talking about the prized possession we have, which is our democracy, our Constitution, and our capitalist society. So on the behalf of the men and women of the National Counterintelligence Security Center, under the auspices of the Director of National Intelligence, I thank the Institute for this awesome award, and this will inspire our folks to continue to drive common solutions and be patriots to solve the issues that affect our national security. Thank you very much.